Good evening. Thank you for joining us for the continuation of our second Executive Officers Debates that was previously suspended due to technical difficulties. My name is Kieran Roberts, your Chair of Union Council, pronouns he, him. Today we'll be hearing from both candidates for the position of Wellbeing Officer. As with the previous debates, each candidate will start with a 2-minute opening statement, followed by a series of questions, after which each candidate will have 30 seconds for a closing statement for final reasons why you should vote for them. Okay, we shall begin this debate with Millie. The order of which candidates ask questions is initially chosen by a random number generator and then switches after each question. So, Millie, if you'd like to start your 2-minute opening statement. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Millie and I am running for the position of Wellbeing Officer. I'm a final year film and media student. I've been part of the Commuter Students Network and the peer mentoring system for the past year. I have loved being able to help guide first year students and help them find their feet in this new environment. I'd love to carry on helping students from all years, and this is why in my manifesto you will be able to see that I have discussed a buddy system. This will be kind of like a mix between societies and the peer mentoring system, where the students will be able to be put in contact with others on their course or with similar interests or just someone completely random if that's what they choose. I'd also like to pair third year students with alumni from their course so that they can talk about their experiences and hopefully think about their next steps. Another point on my manifesto that is really important to me is making the uni's facilities more accessible online. This is so that distance learners, commuting students, and even students with anxieties can feel less isolated and can be more included in the activities. The uni has done a great job of this so far during the pandemic, but I feel like it needs to be a continued effort even once restrictions are lifted.
Hi everyone, my name is Carly Wagner and my pronouns are she, her. I'm rerunning for the Wellbeing Officer position. I'm a geography student and I moved to Sheffield when I was 17 to do a gap year and learn English, and then I just stayed and moved to Leicester in 2017. I have been very active at uni, joining clubs such as ski and snowboard, volleyball, and I've been a student activist against sexual violence and I've been involved in things like theatre. I ran for the wellbeing position last year because I wanted to change the way Leicester students were supported and provide them with the resources to live happy and healthy lives at university. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, some of my manifesto points had to be put to the side to address the issues of lockdown and the mental health issues that came with it. So I've done things like free food packs, game packs, Lockdown Let's Disco, and I've been involved in many more. I want to be your wellbeing officer this year because I believe I still have unfinished business. We went into this pandemic together and I want to make sure we leave it together as well. For the first big project on my manifesto, I would like to collaborate with Anne-Marie, who is running for Education Officer, to incorporate a post-COVID recovery strategy in order to help you deal with the mental, emotional and academic repercussions of this pandemic. I also plan to continue and build on 3 campaigns I started this year, which are Random Acts of Kindness, Here to Here, and the Mayo Mental Health No Shame campaign. I also want to do projects to increase sexual violence awareness. I want to roll out the period equality campaign, which has already been agreed by the university, and give more support to welfare secretaries and have a big Women's Day brunch in collaboration with other officers. So please vote and re-elect Carly for Wellbeing. Thank you so much.
Thank you both. Okay, we'll now be moving on to the question section of this debate. I would like to remind the candidates that they both have the maximum time of 1 minute to answer the question. Okay, as Millie gave her opening statement first, the first question will go to Carly. So Carly, why do you believe you'd be good for this role, and what is your motivation for running? Thank you.
As I've explained previously, I've already worked on numerous projects to improve mental health and well-being of students, such as the isolation care packs, the cookies with support information for students who had to stay over Christmas, the sexual violence survivor guide, Stronger Together Week to combat loneliness, and many more. In my last year as an officer, I have also formed strong relationships with key university staff members, which could be greatly beneficial in getting things done next year. And personally, I'm just a very caring and compassionate person who understands how difficult it can be as a student.
I believe that I will be good for this role because I have a calm and compassionate nature and I am always willing to listen to the needs of others and work to my best ability to make sure I can make it happen. My motivation stems from my own experiences with needing access to wellbeing services during my educational career. I know the importance of needing a strong support system.
Thank you very much. Millie, the next question is for you first, and it's related to COVID and mental health. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused an increase in student mental health issues. What do you think the university or the union can or should do to help alleviate this strain? Thank you.
I think that the university needs to acknowledge that when we return to campus full-time for face-to-face teaching, there will be a difference. A lot of students' mental health may have declined during these lockdowns and may have increased anxieties about returning. I will work with the uni to ensure that the return is as smooth as possible. And I will set up one-to-one talk sessions so that those with worries and concerns can come to me and I can help put them at ease. Most importantly, the uni needs to make sure they offer more signposting for their wellbeing services so that these students know that they are not alone.
We can't ignore COVID after it disappears and life appears to go back to normal. There needs to be a strategic plan to address mental health before lockdown ends, when lockdown ends, and after lockdown ends. If re-elected as your wellbeing officer, I want to make sure that you are supported and provided with the mental health resources to transition back into normal life, or what that might look like for you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Carly, this question goes over to you first. How would you work with the university to ensure that it is providing support for the wide variety of needs required by students?
The first thing to understand is that we've got about 20 counsellors at the moment, and 2 of them are BAME counsellors. Our student population is about 50-50, and I think that already shows that we can't really cater for our student population. What we also need to understand is that we are an educational institution. As an educational institution, we will never have enough funding to fund counsellors for each student. So I think that the way forward would be to outsource the counselling services and go with an online counselling agency that would basically provide specialist counsellors catering for every single student at our university. That means in different languages, from different cultural backgrounds, with different training, because our variety of students and our student needs are so broad, and in order to cater for all of them, we need to outsource in order to provide.
The university needs to understand that when it comes to supporting the needs and requirements of students, it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. There are thousands of students at the university, each with their own individual needs. I will be setting up one-to-one talk sessions so that students can come to me and let me know how I can best adapt the university's facilities to fit their needs, instead of generalising.
Okay, Millie. Question for you is, what would you do to ensure that the university is providing support for students who have faced racial-based trauma?
If a student experiences racial trauma, I want them to know that there is a safe place that they can come to on campus where they can tell us what has happened without any fear. I will ensure that there is trained personnel either available on campus or accessible online who is best suited to their needs. I will then work with the uni and the union to put measures in place to lower the likelihood of this happening ever again.
I think it's important to do microaggression and unconscious bias training for as many staff and student members as possible in order to provide us from traumatizing any students any further. Then I think it's important that we do the outsourcing of the counselling services to cater for students with racial trauma, because trauma counselling is something else that our uni doesn't really provide at the moment. And by outsourcing, we could get in the right counsellors, and you could get like 24-hour access online to the right counsellor. And if you don't like your counsellor, you can also tell those online companies, hey, I want a different counsellor, and you will get one immediately.
Okay, Carly. The next question for you is, what do you believe a culturally competent service looks like?
In order to be a culturally competent service, I think it's important that we have a constant learning progress going on. We're constantly listening and asking students what we can do to help them. And we are constantly appreciating that our background and our knowledge might not be what other students know and have experienced, and that we might not ever be able to fully understand it, but we can try and we can keep learning and improving our services to make them more inclusive and culturally competent.
To me, culturally competent services will have service providers from as many different backgrounds as possible to help expand cultural knowledge, and so that the service fits the needs of each individual.
Okay, Millie, the question for you is, what is your understanding of accessibility?
My understanding of accessibility is ensuring that each student has the same access to all of the facilities as everyone else. In terms of physical needs, we have lifts and ramps and easy access toilets. However, I believe that we need more recognition of the accessibility needs of students with mental health requirements, as well as for commuting students and distance learners.
I think the term accessibility is a very wide term, so I'm going to break it down into like smaller chunks basically. First of all, physical accessibility. So that means access to buildings and places on campus and accommodation. So like wheelchair ramps, lifts, and all of that. Then there's the financial accessibility. So additional costs, which might not be affordable to all students. For that, there are hardship funds, sport inclusion funds, and all of that. Then there's accessibility to services when they are online, accessible to international students and to home students. For example, I know that some international students have been having issues because some services, mental health services, only use phone lines and they don't call internationally. Then there is accessibility for disabled students as well as students with the hidden disabilities. So that can mean video captions. We need to make sure we have plain text and we read out text options as well.
Okay, Carly, the next question we've got here is, how will you work with other officers to ensure that your work is holistic for students?
I've already been working with some of the part-time officers this year, so especially with Dan, our women's officer this year, to get the period equality funded. So the uni already agreed to us to fund that. Then I worked with Bianca, who's our mature part-time officer, as well as Dan again, to get the pregnancy regulations reviewed for students. I want to team up with the education officer next year to do the post-COVID recovery strategy, and for Women's Day brunch I want to work with the Liberation Sports Activities officer and the president, because I want to get as many student groups and sports involved as well, and anyone who wants to really. And then Tom and I had an idea to go forward and run a campaign to desexualize bi and gay women on nights out.
Working with the other officers will enable us to be able to reach a larger amount of students. For example, I'll be working with the sports officer to create physical health campaigns and to highlight the importance of it alongside mental and physical well-being. Also with the education officer, so that we can host events and workshops educating students on different topics, such as mental health, inclusivity, and sexual health.
Thank you both very much. Okay, we'll be moving on to the last section of this evening, which is your 30-second closing statement. So we're going to start with Carly for this one. Over to you, Carly, for your 30 seconds on why students should vote for you.
I have already proven how adaptable and resilient I can be. I have also made very important and good working relationships with key people in the university. I'm incredibly passionate about this role and I want to give students a voice, and I want you to be heard. Next year, your well-being will be crucial and we will all need to recover from this year, and I hope to integrate well-being in academia. But please make sure you read everyone's manifesto to decide who to vote for. Vote Carly for well-being.
I'm very excited about the opportunity to be your wellbeing officer. It is my ambition to be the voice for everyone and to create as healthy an environment as possible. I can do this by working towards what is best for everyone and listening to everybody's needs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the both of you. Thank you all for being here tonight, and yes, I would like to thank our candidates and my wonderful support team for all their help this evening, and remember to go out and vote. Thank you all very much. I've been Kieran Roberts. Have a lovely evening. Good night.